notes from the very last meeting before we went off for break. So I'm also trying to figure out if we added anything into the backlog for the behavioral model project. So I believe this is the conversation from last time. We can maybe go through it a little bit. And I'll go ahead and grab the behavioral model project. While I'm looking for it, did anyone have a PR they wanted to bring up and cover? Looks like, hi, Shai.
Hi.
Okay, so if you guys can see my screen, here's the overall behavioral model project and by status. So
Yeah, Christina?
yeah.
I wanted to ask if we added an item to move to structured annotations and the behavioral model.
I think there's an issue already filed for that.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
because I started working on that. I wanted to be assigned to. Yeah, this one.
Number 18. I don't know if my screen's quite big enough for you guys there. So you, I have it right here.
There should be a linked issue.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and I added all that text like a week ago. I noticed that Youssef was going through and kind of refreshing this and pinging people, so I went in and added. But do you want help on this, Marian? Is there sort of a formula that can be followed, or is it pretty straightforward?
Well, yeah, it's quite straightforward. I will add annotations for tables first and then for keys and action parameters. I don't see any problems really there. I won't be able to share though right now because I don't have internet at home. But I'll prepare a pull request for next week. And
then will the follow-up be to modify the code generator to start using those annotations?
Yeah, I'm doing that in parallel.
Oh, nice. That'll make it a lot cleaner, huh?
Yeah, because it's as you mentioned before, it's very straightforward. Just look up the key and the annotation and pass it to the dictionary that then is passed to the templates. Then it's pretty much zero logic.
Nice.
So is this in the right spot for you then, Marian?
Yeah. I was just wondering if we have it or not.
Oh, yeah. You know me, I usually have something somewhere. Okay, so release. Did we want to put a release candidate version in there or a ETA to check back, like check back next week or something?
Yeah, check back next week.
Check back next week. Okay, and that's assigned. I'm gonna put on track. Oops, sorry, I'm managing the, sorry guys, I'm managing the whole call by myself. I gotta let people in. Need an assistant.
Oh, I was trying to find the right cursor to do it for you, and I couldn't because your cursor was confusing me.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, that's great. Okay. And so these are, so James Lowe had offered to, try and help out with behavioral model, and he had requested that we put an extra here in the status field. He had asked for, needs test, under test, fields so that we could tell what was going on, and then, pending resource allocation. So did that. And he I don't know if James is on the call. He wants to be helpful. So just FYI to everyone. He's from Accton. So, okay. Was there a specific PR this week anyone wanted to cover or talk about, or anything you need help with, Marian? So these are the notes from, oh, sorry, go ahead, Reshma.
Sorry, I wanted to ask if the line item that we wanted to add in the task list last time, which is, MAC address handling and underlay routing resolution in BMB2. If we were going to add that in the task list.
Okay.
So it can be looked at.
Did we add, I'm sorry, I wasn't here that week. Did we add it?
I haven't added it, but
Okay, I can add it.
If
Okay.
you can, please.
Yeah, I can. So maybe you guys help me out here. Let's do an ad real quick. And what are we adding exactly?
Basic underlay routing in BMV2 to handle, MAC address resolution. Yeah. Basic underlay routing in BMV2 to handle MAC address updates. Is that okay, Marian? Any change?
Yeah.
Okay. And what priority is this?
What priority would it be? 1, 0 is the highest, I'm guessing. So
Yeah. Okay. And do we have anyone on the call interested in working on this? Or is this dependent on something else we need to get done first?
It's not dependent on anything. However, I cannot say that I will be able to do that this month.
Okay.
I would want to, but probably I won't be able to.
Well, yeah, you've got a lot going on, plus December's coming.
Yeah. I will likely be away most of December.
Yeah, okay, all right. And let me see who else is on the call. Did anyone else maybe want to take a swing at working on this on the call? Or maybe we could try and farm it out to James Lowe, Marian. He said he kind of wanted to help.
Yeah, sure.
In that case, I can work with James Lowe and we can work together on that.
Okay, I will ask him in email.
Sure.
Great. So I'll do that after the call today. I'll go ahead and reach out.
Sure thing.
Okay, so yeah, I guess we've got that one in there now. Awesome. And when he agrees to work on it, then I'll convert it to an issue, and then I'll be able to put it in his name, okay? So, basically it just converts from this little circle thing to a green circle, so.
Got it.
And anything else we needed to cover from the last meeting? Default routing, DPU. Okay.
That's all about MAC address resolution, really.
Yeah, okay. And then deployment, well, I saw this line, deployment topology from Microsoft would be helpful. So we did have the drawing where we were saying, for example, you could place this, pretty much at any tier in the data center. Is that what we were talking about here? I wasn't in this particular meeting.
Right. I think the group wanted to get some more detail on whether the packets that come in on one port need to go into a different port or same port, and how the gateway is connected, something like that, to figure out the simplest underlay routing.
Gerald, would you have any info on that?
I'm sorry, say that again. What's the question?
Did you say it again,
Yeah,
Rashma?
sure. Yeah, sure. We needed to add some basic underlay routing in BMV2, and the question came up that whether the packets that come in on one port in a DPU needs to go out in the other port or same port, or how the gateway is connected. Is default routing sufficient? So, or routing to specific address, how that will be handled, how the connection is overall topology wise, what we expect. I think that's what the.
I think James could answer that question, Christina. We can take that down. I'm not sure that there's a, sometimes they'll go back the same port, and they've got different designs. Sometimes they go back the same port, sometimes they go the other port, but.
Right. Yeah, I actually agree.
I think it has to accommodate both, so I'm not sure why we need to, but I can tell you what we do today, but I can't tell you that won't change.
The thing, I guess, is how do we tell where it goes? I mean, is it a parameter somewhere in some config inside switch or whatever? or something else?
Well, it can't randomly go out for sure. Whatever it does has to go out the same way. I don't know. I think this question can be brought to James. They did a lot of work on this, and that's why I don't want to comment. There's like some documents on this. In fact, there's a document that many of you have, which is the architectural document that shows how we build our rack, and that actually shows you how it comes in and where it goes. But I think we need to have the configurability, and where that configurability is. That's a good question. So we'd have to. We can take it offline with James and get the right people to get there. I don't know how they direct the traffic today. I know where it goes, but I don't know what the mechanism to force it that way. But they don't do it randomly. They don't like allow it to come in one port and some traffic go out. The two different ports, like it all goes either back to the same port or it goes out the other port. So we just need to figure out, what we do today, and then how did they accomplish directing the traffic. So good question. We can get the answer.
Sounds good.
I don't know how it decides.
Yeah.
I missed that last comment. What was that?
It's how it decides which port it exits on. Like what coming in, it comes in. Like it'll come in both ports, but how does it decide where the packet goes next? Out the same port it came in or out the other port? That's the question.
So Gerald, do you think it's just kind of based on like the port, or do you think it's like actually routed based on like, the encapsulation?
I think it's routed on encapsulation, but I don't want to like give you that answer. Like I'll track it down and make sure that you get the right answer. But that's what I think happens. I think it's programmed out the right port.
We got to define also what routing means. Is it just a simple LPM lookup done, or is it like full ECMP, which I don't think it should be, but that's just me.
I don't think it's ECMP.
Yeah, not quite yet, huh?
I guess we need the exact requirement because it can go anywhere as far as complexity.
Okay, more stuff, more to track down. Okay, great. Sorry, I'm watching a couple of different screens here, so. Any other PRs or issues to give me an update on here? How about the underlay SAI API? I was supposed to check back on November 10th. Marian, if you're there.
No, actually, I saw Chris did that for some of the objects, and I understand we're still missing what Reshma mentioned, MAC resolution, the second part.
Yeah, I just did some sort of dummy switch port attributes so that we could initialize the Python test framework.
So the update to this one then, Chris, is still missing a few pieces.
Well, I guess what I was doing wasn't really endeavoring to answer this issue.
Oh, okay, sorry, okay.
So there's a little bit of relationship. I wouldn't say it's really part of this problem.
Okay. And then connection tracking in the simulator. How's that going?
Yeah, so I actually didn't touch that because the way we built Dockers was changed. But now since it's done, I can update my pull request to have this Docker build based on checksum and do the same thing. But so the pull request is as of now out of date. I'll need to update it.
Okay.
Yeah, this new process will make it a little more straightforward for people to add Docker files, etc.
Okay. Thanks. We'll do a check back in the next week.
Marian, if you need any help with your Docker file stuff, let me know.
Yes, of course.
And we're still, this one's still pending. Is this still pending the, no, I'll look up that one. And then do we still need this translation, the P4 runtime SAI simulator?
Isn't it done? It's done.
It's the glue layer. It says simulator exposes P4 runtime, blah, blah, blah. Okay. It's fixed. Okay, I can close this, yeah?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
fixed by 108.
Yeah,
a month ago.
I will take care of that. We'll close that one. Okay. So, we did all that. Okay, great. Anything you guys want to cover or talk about specifically? We've got Gerald, we've got John, we've got everybody, Marian, Reshma.
This is John.
Mhm.
And I've asked this before, but I'll ask it again. The scale requirements in terms of like flow scale and even mapping scale doesn't like differentiate between V4 and V6.
Yeah.
And like it would be really useful for us to understand what the like actual requirements are for V6.
Yeah, I did take this question, John, to the SDN team,
Yeah.
and because we're, still kind of under development, we are in the same position where we're analyzing as well,
Okay.
because,
Okay.
I think
V6.
also one thing you can assume is the underlay is V6
Okay.
and the overlay typically is V4. But as we've said in the past, we have some big customers that actually have V6 networks, big retailers, that
Yep.
well-known retailers. They're V6. So 99% of our customers are V4, but we have some really big customers who are V6, and that's where it is today. What's going to happen tomorrow is hard to say, but that's when people come back, like our overlay should be V6 because our network is V6 capable, and everybody has problems getting IPv4 addresses, so that I think is almost a given. But the overlay today, yes, 99% of customers are V4, but our biggest customers, or some of our biggest customers, are V6. So that's the data that we have for now. How fast customers move to V6? That's very
Gerald,
hard to say.
sorry, you mentioned V6 in overlay, right? Or underlay, please?
Underlay is going to be V6, typically.
Okay.
Overlay is going to be V4, typically, but some of our biggest customers are V6. So, we can't say all of it's V4, right? We have some big retailers who are V6.
Right. Okay.
So, Gerald, underlay is all Azure. So what you're saying is that it's all V6?
What I'm saying is what?
Is Azure internal network is all V6?
Yeah, we have V6 capability throughout our network, both in the switching and also even on the server.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So John, I did take this to the SDN team. This is the tracking number I have in our internal Azure DevOps. And, we do know V6 takes more memory space, but are there going to be as many entries, blah, blah, blah. And then V4. And so, of course, they came back and said, well, it'd be best if it was configurable. So I am still working with them to get you guys the best answer.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just that there are requirements, right? Dash
Yeah,
has
definitely.
requirements for flow scale.
Yeah.
And if we were to assume like that all 64 million flows or, have to be able to be V6, then that is like a very different amount of memory than if they all have to be V4. I mean, ultimately it doesn't matter to us, but you know, like it's just how economical can we be on the memory?
Yeah. Are there tricks we can do to like smush down the V6? I wonder, or
There are some, I mean, there are trade-offs that can be made, but yeah, so like if we could just get more insight into like that, and like, I mean, like Gerald made the point, like, oh, 99% of the customers are going to be V4, but the big ones might be V6. Does that mean that the entire dash data plane could potentially be consumed by like a big customer and where everything has to be V6? I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
I think that is true, and I think their allocator has to take that into account, though. So in the end, it's how many ENIs can they put on a single card?
yeah.
I think it is obvious that, if that ENI was V6, dominated V6 overlay, then they would be able to put less.
Okay. That's good to know. And it would be good to know like more specifically, like what scale requirement for like separately, what's the scale requirement for V6 and the scale requirement for V4?
Now, the
And for
engineering
the
answer
routing and
is,
for the apples.
the engineering answer is the same.
It depends.
Yeah, and then the price is like double, Gerald. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like that.
I know.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So, okay.
Yeah.
Gerald, is that the engineering answer or the PM answer?
No, that's the engineering answer. And I think, in the end, they have control of how they allocate the ENIs, and they know if it's V4 or V6 overlay, even when they do that. So it's not like they can't take action. I think that what would be good to know is that we kind of put a limit on the memory because of cost, 32 gig or 64 gig. What would be nice to know is how many IPv6 could fit into 32 gig or 64 gig, and that would give them something to work with, right? As opposed to the other way around. I mean,
right.
If
and
you
I
know
think I think that's going to vary by supplier.
it could,
right?
especially if you're using compressed keys and all that kind of stuff. So
Should we define some profiles, like maybe 4 different permutations of all IPv4, all IPv6, and 2 in between of some mixture, percentage or something? And
but I think what would happen is we would just throw that back as, here's 4 profiles. Tell me how many of each you can do, right?
yeah, and I guess is there going to be a hard requirement at any point, like minimum this combination has to be supported?
Well, I think in the past, even if you go back through history, we put out some numbers that didn't seem to be perfect, let's say. And after working with suppliers who work on this, we came up with new numbers which seem to more match reality. And I think that's where we could go. So I think we could put out 4 profiles. I think that's a good idea. And then just ask people like what would be, we wouldn't be able to share back the individual answers, but we would probably come to some conclusion across the industry what would be reasonable. And I think that's where we always have to be reasonable, right? If they're not doable, then there's no sense asking for it. So maybe that's how we approach it. Because right now the standard answer from engineering is the same. And they know the issue, right? So
yeah, okay.
And the reason is they don't know what the industry can do. They don't know what numbers you'd get. And so they don't want to come back with a number because they don't even have a clue what you guys will come back with.
Yeah. And I want you guys to know when you ask these questions, I do track them down. I put them in our internal, sheet here. I make a number. I go by their desk and bother them and try to get answers for you.
So I think that here the action might just be for us to come up with 4 profiles, not telling them the numbers, just 4 profiles.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can ask the suppliers, and maybe we can work out a number, because I think this is going to be circular. I don't think we can give them a number. They don't want to give us the number. So
Yeah,
we can do this process and maybe agree as a community what the numbers are, which numbers are reasonable.
yeah. We might have more information in a couple of months too, once we're, finished with what James is doing.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a matter of waiting for anything because the actual suppliers know how many IPv4 flows they can handle
Okay,
versus IPv6. And so if we give them some profiles, they can fill it out. We can compare and come up with something more common.
So Gerald, let me just like give you an example of the trade-off. Like, you know, and this may vary by supplier, but like, it may be that there's two totally separate memory pools, one for v4 and one for v6. And like, we would have to size each of those memory pools for the maximum of v4 and for the maximum of v6. That's like one option. Another option might be that there's just one shared memory pool, but when you use v6, you don't get as many as when you use v4. And so like we like this is kind of holding us back from like in a way figuring out what's like the right implementation of managing the memory. Like if we understood better like what the requirement is, like we might, like another option might just be, hey, if all flows have to be v6, then there's just one pool and it's just size so that all flows can be v6. So this is like, we're working on this and like deferring like the information is just like, I mean, it's not like a major problem, but it's like we're not converging.
Yeah, it's just an open question, and I believe Christina is aware that I had asked the same thing earlier. Currently in the document, it shows 64 ENIs, right? And 100,000 routes per ENI. That makes it 6.4 million routes. So it's a lot of routes.
But that's the routes. I'm talking about the how many flows.
Okay.
Which is the bigger part of the table for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about routes as well in that case, you know.
Yeah.
But I wonder if, you know, when we talk about connection tables and it's, I don't know, your implementations, whether the key inside the connection table is a connection ID, not, you know, separately keeping the actual true key. It may mean that you can hold as many connections, whether they're IPv4 or v6. Some trick to do that.
Sorry, my dog's having a meltdown. Okay, so yeah, so I'll keep after this, guys. Thank you, John, for asking.
Thank you.
Yep, it's always on my mind.
Hey, Gerald, could we go back to the underlay just for a second? I believe you said a few minutes ago that the underlay was all v6.
It can be all v6. We're fully capable of IPv6.
Okay, so so Marian, so I think the reference P4 code today only supports a v4 underlay. Is that correct?
Let me check. Don't remember.
Oh, I think his underlay supports v6. It was the overlay that he didn't have v6.
Oh, I can't check. I still don't have internet.
Is it something I can check on the repo, Marian, where the P4 is located?
I don't think there is a need for that. I can just reply offline later today.
Oh, okay.
But if it's missing, then yeah, we should support it as well. Especially, I will tell you why, because there are other scenarios that utilize underlay v6.
Yes.
Okay, so we need to support both v4 and v6.
Yeah, we do need that.
Okay, so you guys will talk. Okay. Do you need me to fire up an email between the two of you, or you guys have each other's info? Bud and Marian.
I think the question is answered.
It's answered. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we'll just, if it's not there, we will add it together with other scenarios. As I said, it will be needed at some point for sure.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Awesome. Chris, did you have anything else for this week, or Reshma? Marian?
Not me, thank you.
Mhm.
Anything else, Christina, at this time?
Okay, all
I
right.
think you need to add to that where it says Bud does reference P4 support only. You don't have anything after that.
Oh,
It
I'll
needs to-
remember. It's in my head. It's
Yeah.
IPv6. Oh, yeah.
And
then
V4. It has to be
and
both,
yeah.
right?
No, it's in my head. I just
Okay.
hadn't finished the thought. Okay.
Yeah, my only items were from yesterday. We have a couple of PRs awaiting approval.
Okay,
I'm hoping Gohan can take a look at soon.
okay. And Gohan's
Yep.
not on this call, so I'll ping him today with you on the Teams channel or something.
Thank you.
I approved the 285 PR from Gohan. Overall, it looked good, you know. So I'm hoping that that is merged, 285. And we will incorporate that change that he made in 285 into 277.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's already been done.
Is this merged? Okay, okay, good.
That's merged. I merged it earlier this week, and then I worked with Anton and myself. Between us, we both merged everything into our PR, so everything's ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, then Chris, I'll ping you and Gohan separately today
Thank you.
on a different chat. Okay. Anything else from the rest of you guys? Nope. Okay, then it's 10:36. I'll stop the recording and I can give a little bit of time back. But like I said, Yusuf went through the whole list of items looking for updates, and we're going to close the ones that have the appropriate update and try and keep the list, you know, a little bit lower. And like I said, James Lowe wants to work on things too. I'll try and reach out to him. So thanks everybody, and reach out to me if you need anything. It's chrisme@microsoft.com or on Teams, you know. And thank you for coming.
Thanks, Christina.
Okay. All right. I have to figure out the new button to stop recording. Okay, there it is. Why do they move things?